Karen Bonifilio, Outer Realms, Inner Journeys. You might recognize who we have on again today. This is Callie Martin.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about the Akashic Records today. And many of you might be saying, what in the heck is that? Well, she's going to tell you all about it. And I want to tell you, I had a session and experience visiting the Akashic Records, but I'm not going to give anything away. I'm going to let you hear her, and I may share later what happened with me. Okay, Kelly, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, first of all, for those of us that don't know what the Akashic Records are, what are they?
Well, gosh, so it's kind of a hard thing to explain in human terms, and this is also my first time talking more publicly about it. I'm usually the animal person, but this is a gift or a experience I've just learned this past year. So if you hear me talking and looking, I'm actually my guides are working with me to explain this. It's like a little microphone in my ear, so they're going to help me through this process. But pretty much what the Akashic Records are, the best to describe. Imagine like a big giant library or spiritual database where everything is kept. All the records from the souls, this planet, other universes are kept. And each of us has our own set of records. To me, they look like little vaults, like a bank vault or a lock or safe or something like that. And that's where everything about us is kept from the very beginning of time when our souls were created long before, and everything about us is in this set of is in this vault. Pretty much like all your lifetimes, your where your soul was born, your star family, your gifts, everything, and the people who it's in the everything is kept, and there are guardians and guides on the outside, kind of watching over to make sure. It's a very sacred and secure place. And the one thing I want to emphasize too, to go to the Akashic Records, is you have to have respect, and you have to have use your common sense. And the biggest thing is no one has access to your records but you. It's a very safe and secure place. A lot of times you'll hear people say, like on other social media, saying like, I went to your Akashic Records and I saw this. Didn't happen. You cannot have access to anybody's records without permission. And each of us has a guard outside our vault to make sure no one can go in, and they make sure that you can't even talk to their higher self. It has to be directly to the person to go in. And then around the Akashic Records, there's also, I kind of call like the Akashic librarians. That's the best way to describe it. They kind of watch over the records and kind of clean things up and clear the energy and so forth. And all the records look different for everybody. When I do the session, it's a guided meditation, and we go in and I say, there's a hallway. What does the hallway look like? To me, it looks like this very crystally translucent place. And the beings that walk around are very like silhouette of these energy bulbs. And I see little light bulbs and stuff kind of flow.
Is that what you see, Kelly, when you go to your?
That's what I see when I go into the hallway. I see all these different beings kind of walking past, and it's kind of hard to describe. They just look like very clear beings that walk by, and sometimes I'll see others like souls whip by. And my understanding is those are other people or spirits coming in to look at their records. It's kind of so that's kind of what my understanding of what it is. And like I said, I'm channeling right now what they're explaining to me what it is. So and the Akashic Records are great for your spiritual journey, because you can learn more about you. You can help remember other lifetimes. You can get initiations. When I'm going through a big shift, I go to my Akashic Records. Actually, I did a sound bath on Saturday, and I went to my Akashic Records, and my guides were showing me more and more. It was more depth, and every time you go to your records, it can be different. It's never the same.
So when you did the sound bath, you yourself were going up to your Akashic Record.
Yeah, I went to my Akashic. I'm going through a major shift, and it's kind of funny. Like, kind of take a step back. 10 years ago, I never thought I'd be doing this kind of work. I never imagined it when I was opening up to my mediumship gifts as a psychic and hearing animals. No one tells you all the other fun stuff that's going to come with it. You just think you're going to be talk to animals or maybe talk to dead people. They don't tell you about all of the other things, the alien stuff, the Akashic records, and the things you see and experience. So you kind of sound crazy when you start really opening up. But it's also, I'm also so lucky that have this chance to do it because I mean, I've been on such a huge transformation. So if I'm going through a major shift, I'll go to my records and get more information and downloads, and I work with my guides, and it's just I'm so lucky that I have this opportunity to do this and share.
But I'm going to tell you that we're lucky because you can take us to our Akashic records and
Yes,
we can get that same information.
yes, and
So,
this is something happened about a year ago.
okay.
Last year was the biggest transformation of my entire being, and I've been through a huge transition ever since my
I'm going
parents.
to pull you back to the Akashic records. Okay.
This has to do with the Akashic records.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay.
how I became a Akashic reader.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so yeah.
I'm
So I
sorry
did.
I interrupted then.
No, it's okay. So years ago, when I first came to my guest, someone told me I could be an Akashic reader. I said, whatever. Last year, I went through. I was like, I didn't really believe it. But then last year, I was going through a big transition. I went to a sound healing thing, and I went to my friends afterwards, and she said I was doing a reading with her pets, and she said, "You get your information really fast. Do you know where you're getting your information from?" I was like, She's like, "You're going to the Akashic records." I'm like, "Really?"
I
She's like,
am?
"You can be a Akashic reader." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm like, "Can I really do this?" So then I had another session with a mentor of mine, and she helped me through the process of how to get to the records, what to do. And I kept hearing, "Now you need to start helping other people get to their records." And I'm like, "I don't know how to do that." Like, we're going to show you how to do it. This is your method,
Okay, cool.
and this is how you're going to do it. So that night, I sat in my, and where I'm at now, that my office is also my meditation room. I sat on the couch. I'm like, so I was like, okay, I asked my guys to come in, like, please help me, show me how to do this. So I did a meditation where I went to my records. My older cat actually was with me to kind of show me. We went up, and just how I did with you, we go up this staircase, we go in this hallway, and I went into my records, and then I got to pick a record, showed me something, and I put it back. And then I exited and came out, and they said, this is how you're going to do it with people. I'm like, okay. And I wanted to practice, so I put out all over my friends' Facebook pages like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And I just charged like $20 just for the energy exchange. And so we did the practice meditations, just how I did it with you, Karen. And I had the most amazing results. I mean, every single one, and all of them were intuitive people and psychics and mediums and energy healers. So I was able to get a good response
Wow.
from them.
Sorry.
Yeah, and the energy is intense. And actually, they've really ramped up this past year as I've gained confidence in my abilities, and they're getting better and better. So,
Okay. My whole body is just
yeah,
tingling. I got to tell you, when I talked with her the other day, the energy was so intense from her. We lost communication like 3 times.
yeah.
And she had
And
to
kind
keep
of,
coming back on.
yeah, and kind of take a step back. When you do a session with me, this is kind of how it does. I also use a lot of rocks and crystals, and I have these little skull friends to help
Right?
me with
Yeah.
the record keepers. Actually, this one goes with me to any sound bath, any meditations, and actually, his head was completely cleared when I first got him, but it's filled in with
Oh,
different knowledge.
wow.
This is a Lemurian quartz crystal. Lemurian crystals hold energy; they hold information. And actually, the funny part, before I knew this is what he was, I took him with me to right before I learned about the Akashic stuff. Akashic
Hmm.
records. And the funny thing is, I didn't know no one ever told me what the Akashic records were. I just knew.
Yeah.
So this is something done. So when I do the Akashic session, if anybody's interested, so what I do is I first do a clearing on you. I create something called a crystal grid. I use one of these type of this, and I put crystals on it, and I focus on your energy, clear up your energy. And it's also kind of a warm up. It's a lot of energy because you're leaving your human body, for lack of better words, and raising up in energy. The best way my guides kind of described to me is it's the closest to that Christ like energy and love that you're going to get. And so
Yes.
I clear your energy, and it kind of builds it up. So when you go to so I clear energy first, and then we go to your records. Like I said, it's a guided meditation where I will go up the stairs, and you're always with your guardian angel. Your guardian angel's there to help you with the energy and also just to be that support. And also, it's a good way to actually meet your guardian angel and face to face and really work with them, because once you meet with them face to face, it changes your relationship with them because you're going to start feeling them better and really working with them better. It's amazing. And so then we go then we go up the stairs, we go into this hallway, and that's where I start asking you, what does the hallway look like to you?
Right.
And it's different for everybody. And then we go to your room, to your door, and say, what does your door look like? And it's different
Mhm.
for everybody. People have said anything from crystals, rocks, stones, wooden doors, different things.
Mhm.
It's never been the same thing. And then you all have your guard next to the door. Some people will see the guard, some people will not. And some guards sometimes don't show themselves right away because they might look scary to your eyes, so they don't want to scare. So, for example, somebody had Anubis as one of their guards by their door, and he didn't show himself the first time because he wasn't sure if
Want
he
to
was ready,
terrify someone? Yeah.
because that might be kind of scary. Anubis is actually a really great guide to have, but he looks kind of scary on the outside, so that's why he didn't show himself.
And I think I saw my guide outside my door.
Yeah, there's a lot of guides kind of around. I kind of feel like it's the guide hangout place, and I like I said, I don't know everything about it, but
But when the guides are gone, because they're going to go with you,
yeah.
there's always somebody, some entity up there making,
Yep.
watching over
Yep.
the
Yeah,
records.
and even before you go into the actual records, when you go up the stairs, there's two guards on the side of each door of the
Oh, I
door,
remember that. Yeah.
and there's also the lettering, which is something called light language, and it looks like
Mhm.
secret geometry. It's all sutures, and that's what the Akashic librarians are there too, as also protectors to make sure it's safe and secure, because this is very sacred information. It's like most of your personal information, like a
Yeah.
bank, you don't want it getting out, and this is very sacred stuff. So that's for if anyone becomes an Akashic record reader. And I don't think you don't choose one and you get chosen to be it. That's
Mhm.
my personal understanding, because you can take courses to be an Akashic reader, but this is my understanding.
Okay.
It's
Let
a
me
choice.
ask you some questions,
Sure.
okay? So we can kind of clear up some things.
Yeah.
So we've already answered that not everybody can access their Akashic records. What kind of information can you find when you go to your Akashic record? And I want to interject for just a second.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what kind of information, but I also know when she took me to mine, the energy was really overwhelming and it was a full body experience. So I think I was only able to ask maybe two questions, maybe three. I think I pushed for the third one, because it's not like having a regular reading.
Yeah.
It's
No, no.
totally different. Yeah.
And yeah, kind of go back when you go into your room. I'll ask you, what does your room look like and your records. And I'm just the tour. I'm just the escort, the tour
Like
guide,
a tour guide.
and I'm pretty much the interpreter for the energy. So I only say what I'm allowed to say, and I listen to what they tell me. And so they usually have you pick one or two records. It depends on the energy. And I was actually, after your session, I asked my guide, so why only one or two records? And they said, well, if you pick more than that, you might be overwhelmed by the energy. So they want you to not be, because you feel so good in the energy, you forget how overwhelming it is. So they don't want you to be too
Well,
overwhelmed.
yeah, I could feel that.
Yeah.
And
So that's,
I remember looking at two different
yeah.
records.
Yeah. And for the most part, how it is for majority of the people is it's usually a whatever record you pick, it's usually a lifetime that you had that's going to benefit you in this lifetime. And it's
Mhm.
usually, it's something from, like, say, like you were killed in a lifetime for witchcraft and you're scared to open up your gifts. You can go to that. You'll end up picking that record, and that's where you can kind of meet yourself from that lifetime, and you can kind of release those fears and also regain energies you might have
Oh,
lost.
I just remember something. Can you find out your purpose for this lifetime in the Akashic records?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
All is that, everything is there. Like I said, it's like a huge database. Like I said, most of the time for me it's lifetimes, but I've gone back for myself, for my own self. So, and once you've done the session with me, you'll have easier access to get to your record, because now you'll know how to get there. But it's always good to have someone like me to kind of interpret it, because
Oh,
if
yeah.
you're just begin,
I would definitely have you
yeah,
lead me
it's
through.
just
Yeah.
beginning. And also, I've been doing a lot of energy stuff for years, so I've been building up to
Yeah.
handle the energy. I do a lot of stuff outside, and I'm always improving myself to get better and be better, to grow, because
Hmm.
grow, which is also a very key factor for any energy or light worker. You want somebody who is continuing on their journey and their work and not stopping.
Right.
I heard I needed to say that to reemphasize that. But yeah, so you can find out anything in your records. When I go, I find out more about who I really am, what my soul is, who my star family is, what I did during
Mhm.
Lemurian times, and I've gained a lot of those abilities back. I went into one section of my records where there was a mirror and I saw different versions of myself.
And I got
So
a question.
sure.
Um, I know that we have many, many lifetimes that help with the evolution of our soul. Is anyone okay? Let's say you have thousands of lifetimes. Let's take it down to this person has maybe 40 lifetimes. Are they ready to be able to go into that hall and to look and access that? Or do they have to evolve more as a soul to be able to do that?
That's a good question. Let me ask my guides.
Okay.
They say they're telling me, well, who's ever really ready to go into that room is going to seek me out. Like if even if I do like an advertise, like right now I'm doing a 50% off all of March for the records. Normally
You're doing 50% off?
I'm doing 50% off. It's kind of, this is a side thing I do. So
No, I
normally
think
it's
that's so cool.
yeah. Well, normally I do it for 110, but I'm doing a half off special in March just because it's spring and Ostara, and a lot of people are going through a big
Well, I'm
release.
not a math girl. What's half of
Well, it's actually $50, so it's actually more than
50
half off.
bucks? Oh,
50
that's
bucks,
awesome.
just $50, and this is something I love doing. So, pardon me, this is a side thing. The animals are my main focus, but this is kind of a side thing. I don't advertise it a whole lot. I do Akashic readings, but I'm starting to advertise it more because people need this. And
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, I feel like if anyone who really needs an Akashic session, they will find me.
Oh,
Even the
God.
pets, even the pet psychic stuff too. The ones who usually find me are other light workers, start other types of energy
Yes.
healers, and
They're led to you.
are people who are about to really make a big shift in their life, and so they need me to kind of help go there. And I love doing it because it's so different. And also, when you look at your records too, most of the time, usually one of your guides and guardians will come in and share information and give you love and support. And it's just the love you feel is
It's
just,
beautiful.
I mean,
It is
you truly feel
beautiful.
that Christ consciousness love that we're supposed to feel. And that's why when you're there, you feel so good. Even though I'm just the tour guide, I feel really great too. And sometimes I can only do maybe one or two a day because it's so much energy and so much love. Because I have to be, when I come back, I have to ground and clear, and I'll take my dog for a walk, and really I'll use like a amethyst crystal to ground myself because
Oh,
it's
is amethyst grounding?
amethyst is very ground. This is a black amethyst, so it's very dark. It's a dark purple, so it looks like
You know
it's.
what I heard that was? I have one that's really large and it's got the big white stripe. I
Mhm.
heard it was a chevron amethyst.
I've heard of that. There's different types of. There's so many different. Like this is actually called alien amethyst. This is another type of. It's like purple.
Is there purple in that? I can't even
There's
see the
like purple in the back,
Oh,
but
there it is.
it
Okay.
looks mostly reddish.
Yeah.
But I've just learned that there's so many different rocks and crystals out there, and
Mm.
I use a lot of rocks and crystals during my healings and sessions, so that it helps.
You do.
And
You
then also,
do.
then this is the other alien, the other skull guy I use. I use both of.
I'm
I
getting used
use
to these now from seeing them with you.
yeah. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I have friends that have a rock and crystal business, so that's where I get majority of my stuff. But the skulls, I used to think they're really creepy, but I have a whole collection of them now that work with me. So
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some more questions now. And one thing before I ask you questions, she makes a recording of this for you. So you can have this later and you could re experience what you went through.
Mhm.
And I know how good I felt. And I'm going to tell you, this sounds really weird, but when you start delving into these things, you get a body high. You do. Your vibration is lifted so much. You're just kind of, oh my God, this feels so good.
yeah,
So,
yeah, it's like when one of my friends talked about it. It's like so it's almost like a psychedelic feeling without any drugs. And I've never done any of that kind of stuff,
oh,
but
I have.
so it's
I'm
a
older.
very amazing feeling. And then the reason too, I also record all your, and every session you get with me, whether it's a pet reading or Akashic reading, I record it because I don't remember usually what I say. And especially with the Akashic stuff, almost as soon as we leave your vault, it's like my memory's wiped clean. I remember bits and pieces like what the rooms look like and little
Right. Yeah.
things just to
Mhm.
help describe it, because but other than that, I don't remember it. But it's okay. It's not for me. It's for you
For
to
you.
learn. I also kind of feel most true psychics and mediums will tell you that they're not going to remember what they say because it's not really me.
They do. Most of them say they don't.
And I always say that because I don't want to say there are some people who everyone is gifted, everyone has potential, but some people are not as aware as they want you to think they are, or
I
may
understand
not
what you're
be
saying. Yeah.
at that
They're-
level.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, if they say they remember everything, most of the time they don't.
So I'm going to go on a sidetrack again, but it's
Sure.
for my audience. Kelly's going to be up talking about um, talking to animals and also about Reiki at the same time. And she did this with me for my dogs. And you know, Maddie, who barks, she comes in and wants cookies and all this while I'm doing my things. I'm trying to make her be quiet. Those dogs disappeared. In fact, I don't even think they're in the room with me right
Nope.
now. They took off and absorbed all the Reiki. And then today, when I got on with Kelly, I said, "Would you tell my damn dog to not bark?" And see, she's not barking
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's annoying to me. But sorry.
Why, yeah, and also I kept seeing them poking in because I also kept hearing they still feel the energy, even though we're thousands of miles away. They felt the energy, and especially after I do a healing with animals, especially, they'll pop in like, "Hey, are you going to work on me at all?" Because that felt really good, and
And you record that so the animals can feel that again
Mhm.
too.
They do, and it still works. Even the crystal grids, when I build a crystal grid, I take a picture of it too, and I also send it to you, so
Mhm.
that way you have it for reference. But you can still feel the energy. It could be, I said, and I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know how all
It
this stuff,
works.
but it works. And I've had so many people say it works. And in the last and recently, I'm starting to learn more about making my own crystal grid backgrounds. I'm using
Mhm.
Canva. I can try to show you one of them. This is one
I've
I
heard
made.
Canva. Yeah.
This is one I made the other day. I don't know if you can see it.
No, it's pretty. It's really nice.
Yeah, this is
There's kind of a light on it. It's kind of
yeah.
hard
It's
to.
kind of but I made this kind of hard to see it. But I made this through Canva, and this is the intention for this one is to help me remember another lifetime. And then I took another picture, and you can see some of the crystals I put around it.
Oh yeah. So
So
when you go to the Akashic Records, I know you can find out about your past lives,
mhm.
and can you find out your future lives?
So I'm asking. Yes and no. So I'm hearing it depends on your journey. It depends on where you're at. They can kind of show you where you can see your future self, but also it's showing you where if you continue on this path where you'll be. Now they also might show you a different path if you go this way. So
Oh, oh,
I have seen my future self. They don't tell me everything that's going to go on, but they've shown me like if you keep going this path, this is where you're going to be.
is that your future self now that you're talking about? That you
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see beyond this self? Can you go beyond that and see a self maybe that you'll have in a few lifetimes?
That no, that I can't see.
What if I go up there and I want to do that? Will I have access to that or is that off limits?
Let me see. I'm asking my guys for
Yeah.
answering.
And I understand that. I
Yeah,
think the audience
they said okay. So there's and I'm channeling this information. They say right now no because when you come before you come into any lifetimes, they say you plan out your life and how it's going to be and you sign a contract. And
yes.
they said that contract has not been signed yet. So they said
Oh,
so
okay.
that's what they're saying. Like when you because like before we come into this life, we sit down with I almost see like this round table of us people sitting
Yes.
around, and like your guys, like, okay, this is what you're going to do. This is your life plan. This is what you want to learn. Kind of
Mhm.
like when you sign up for classes in college. Okay, what course do you want to take?
Totally agree. Totally agree with
And
that.
even if you because and then even the really bad stuff that goes on in your life. Sorry to say this, you signed up for it, but there's a reason for it. Is to help you with whatever you're doing and And my friends and I joke around all the time, like we probably didn't read the fine print, or we were like, when we made it. So we constantly joke around, but
Seriously.
because like sometimes I'm
Seriously.
like, why would I sign up for this? I mean, but
I've had that
yeah,
experience when
but
my husband died,
but now that I'm on the other side, I get it. But
Mhm.
so you sign up, but then right before you're born or come into this life, that's when you sign the contract.
And the
Boom.
contract.
But so right now they said no. And from my understanding too, it's kind of like we do still have free will,
Yes,
and it's kind of like a choose your own adventure game. Like which path do you want to go? So it can still change,
that's
and
true.
that's what they're saying. It's like a choose
That's
your own
true.
adventure thing.
Hmm.
Like if you're feeling like on a loop, and you're doing the same thing over and over again, well, you may not be learning that lesson. So you're going to stay on that loop until you learn, and then you're going to go.
Do you know how many husbands I had to be with to finally find my power
Yeah,
and that,
yeah, it's
yeah. But
yeah,
I got the lesson.
yeah.
Got the
But
lesson.
also, I keep hearing to remind you too that those of you who are beginning to open up and do this stuff, you actually can sit down with your guides and guardians and go over your contract, and you can alter your contract, and you can change things, and you can actually say you had a contract with a husband or partner, and you want to do that. You can actually go into meditation and meet their higher self and your higher self, and rip up that contract and start fresh. There is
Mm,
that there
it's too
you
late.
can, and I have actually done that with other relationships, even my own parents, and it does actually work. So, and you can also go into, and this is the part I'm also learning. I'm learning more
We
about.
did you 5 years ago, Kelly.
Yeah. I wish I met, I wish I never, and I'm just coming into my gifts and really remembering these things.
Yeah.
And my whole childhood was not, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the greatest. I had a lot of issues with parents and growing up and being who I am. It was challenging. I never felt like I was part of this world and this universe, but now I found others like me. I feel like,
Yes.
okay, I
Mm,
get why I'm here and I get what I'm doing. And I'm at the point I remember where I'm from, what star system I'm from.
yeah.
I'm remembering my Lemurian lives, and I remember in great detail that I've never. It's the weirdest, craziest thing, but
I know, but
it,
you're speaking a language that we're going to have to explain at some point in
it's
time.
so it's, and there's so much to go on. Like I said,
I know. So
wait,
we're gonna go back to Akashic
yeah,
Records,
yeah.
okay?
Sorry, and like I said, I'm actually channeling a lot of this information. So my
Yeah.
my my
Hey,
guides
we
also,
can have a free for all one day. We'll just get on and just do a
yeah.
free for all. And
That's the problem when you're a medium. Sometimes they'll start channeling and talking for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm just like I said, it's like having a
does your
microphone in
voice
your ear.
change?
What?
Does your voice change?
No.
Okay.
Some people do. For me, I just no. At least I just heard right now it's not changing, but
It could.
I know.
So obviously, the Akashic Records, you can find things about your past lives, and so that can help you deal with your life now.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gives you a blueprint of why you are this way, and maybe help clean up some things before you
Yeah,
pass on.
yeah, and recently with the last few weeks, actually, I learned this with the
Hmm.
Akashic records. You could also go back to different points of your life being. Like I've been doing a lot of inner child, inner teenager healing, and so I actually went to one section in my Akashic records where I saw three doors, and one was for each represent each part of my life. Like one is my childhood, inner childhood, one is my inner teenager, and one was like my young adult life. And I went to like I went, for example, I went to the inner child room, and this is like a room within the room of my records.
Kelly, I got to ask you. So let's say I'm thinking of people. Let's say somebody has a lot of anger. They could go and pinpoint and then hopefully change that. Or if
Yep.
they have a lot of health problems, they could find out what's causing that and kind of clear that up too.
Yep. And this is something I'm just now kind of learning how to do. But you can actually
Mhm.
go back to that point in time and your child. Like for me, when I go into the room, I see my old childhood bedroom with all my toys and stuffed animals, and I see my child version of myself. And I go in and I sit down with the child self and talk with her and hug her and remind her she's loved and cared for. And you can actually shift those energies. And then a few weeks ago, I did my inner teenager part, and people do the inner child work, but they forget the inner teenager. That's where I had the biggest issues because that's when your body's changing, your emotions are
Mhm.
changing,
Mhm.
and especially if you're someone like me who never fit in with everybody else, it was the hardest time of my life.
Mhm.
And so I actually went back and my inner teenager actually wasn't in her room. I actually had to go find her someplace else in her world. And
But in doing so, that doesn't change the contract that you made for yourself before you came to this
no,
lifetime.
she still has experienced those things, but you're going back and healing those, kind of reminding her. It's almost like you're going back to remind, like for me, like is reminding me to keep going, that things are going to get better. So actually, I used to have that voice when I was a kid. I used to hear like the don't worry, the second half of your life is going to be amazing. Now I kind of wonder if it's actually myself now going back. And it was usually at night when I was sleeping in bed. So now it's like there was something that kept telling me keep going. So now I kind of wonder if was that version me. So
Yeah, yeah.
so good, but you can shift the energy. Like I said, I still don't know how it fully works, but yeah, I've gone back
Mhm.
to and it's I've gone back and really healed that inner teenager, and now I'm more outspoken. I'm feeling better. It was a major shift, and next is my 20s. That's the next area I'm gonna focus on. But right now, I was like, 'cause I was focusing on my inner teenage.
And
So
that helps with the evolution of your soul
it
also.
does, and since then, everything has really opened up, and I'm even my business is starting to really finally take off and move forward, and all these opportunities are coming the way because I went back to that one section.
Wow.
So it's amazing how much it can open. And that's the fun part. When you heal and go back and use your records, the more you heal and let go, the more your spiritual gifts open up.
Okay,
And
so I have anger at some people.
Mhm.
So I could go back to the Akashic Records and we could focus on that.
we could, we could.
Okay. Because
So
I'd like to release that poison out of my
yeah,
body. I tried
yeah,
and I thought I had, but then something will trigger me and
yeah.
and I get all
Yeah.
upset and everything. So I'm not haven't healed.
Yeah, and it takes time, and like as my guy said, it's like when you go to heal, they only let you release a little bit at a time because they don't want you to get too overwhelmed. So it is okay sometimes. I mean, I'll probably still go back occasionally and still feel that pain.
Oh, tell them to overwhelm me when we go.
Yeah. Well,
I know I'm not in
yeah, they're saying
control.
we'll see, and they do out of love because it also certain times of
Yes.
year
Hmm.
the emotions, like from this week actually my mother's anniversary of passing was on the second, and then her birthday is actually tomorrow. So I have that all those
Ooh.
energies feeling, and it kind of also it's bittersweet because like my mother and I had a very challenging relationship, but at the same
Mhm.
time when she passed, my whole life, that's when my gifts really started opening up. So it's just it's a weird energy. So
Oh man. Okay. Um, what else would you like to tell us about the Akashic Records?
oh gosh.
Was that too wide open
No,
for
I'm
you?
just trying to think. Like, so this is the first time I've ever really done a pod. I've done podcasts with the animal stuff, so that the Akashic is this is actually very brand new. I just say anybody has access to the records, and like I said, if you're interested in a session, she'll put the link of how to find me on Facebook. And Element Tales Intuitive Animal Services is my business.
Yeah.
But the thing about the Akashic records is just amazing, and
Oh, Kelly, this is not going to air in March, I don't
oh,
think.
well,
Um,
tell you what. If you're anybody who's listening to this podcast and you find me and interest, message me. I will just say I saw your podcast. I will honor the 50% off, no matter what time of year it is.
okay. Okay.
So
I'll look at my calendar, but I really do think everything's booked.
okay, no problem. If yeah, for anybody listening to this podcast to see who's listening and may not be able to have a chance to get a discount session, message me. Say I heard you on Karen's podcast, and I will honor the 50% off. So
Yeah. We're going to talk afterwards. I'm going to see
yeah,
what we can do about this.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else you want to say? Ask your guides, ask your helpers, see if there's anything else they want delivered,
Yeah.
what other message they'd like.
The biggest thing I keep hearing them saying that and this is kind of an overall message, stop focusing on what's going on in the news and the politics
Oh
and
God.
all of that stuff. That's a distraction.
Yes.
There's a lot of really good things coming into our life, and everyone who's listening to this is here to because they feel like it's time to wake up. It's time to really open up,
Yes.
and don't be afraid of any of this stuff. Even when they talk about aliens and all that stuff, which we're talking here in a few days about that.
We're
There's
going to talk about
and
aliens,
actually
guys.
the aliens do have something to do with the Akashic records, but a lot of them are actually help with the Akashic
Mm-hmm.
records and so forth. But all of them, majority of them are here to help us. They're our friends, they're our family. They've
Yes.
always been around. Some of us are among you in different forms,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing to be afraid of. They have the most amazing, loving energy, and they've also helped me so much with my growth and healing. So
And they're more evolved than we are.
they are, and they say they're here to help us, and they're here to be with us. And a lot of these newer technologies, the that are coming out are actually galactic healing energies, like the med beds and a lot of the sound healings, the scalar energy healings that are going on. That's actually comes from a lot of our galactic friends and family. So
I have people ask me, well, how do you find these people that you interview? And I'm thinking, well, it's my guides.
yeah,
My guides are leading me, connecting with their guides,
yeah.
and they're bringing the messages that they feel is necessary to help all of us, to
Yeah,
help
well,
humanity.
you messaged me right after I took a big leap of faith, because I sometimes I question, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be doing this? Because it's been really
Mhm.
slow building up my business, but I kept hearing, "Have faith, you're fine." But as soon as I said yes, it was a drum that I was supposed to get. I said yes.
Yep.
That's when you
Mhm.
messaged me, and all this started coming up, and
Mhm.
I don't realize how much I've learned in these past 5 6 years since I started until
Mhm.
I talk about it. I'm like, wow, I really know a lot because
Right.
I'm very blessed that I'm around some really gifted individuals, some amazing healers, and that have
You've got a
helped.
huge community up
I
there where
have a
you
huge.
live.
I'm so grateful. Like
Gee.
I never realized how gifted I was and how much I've grown until I actually realized
Yeah.
that even when
Yeah.
I went to the sound bath, my two of my really good friends were did it, and the people who had never really experienced their version of sound bath were just blown away. And so I never realized how much I've grown until I kind of talk about. I'm like, wow, I actually have been through a lot, and now I'm also still growing. I'm starting to see things more than I ever could before. I'm seeing more
Yeah.
auras. I took an aura class of how to see auras better. Turns out I've also been seeing auras most of my life. I just didn't know what
What
I
it
was seeing,
was.
and now
Yeah.
I'm hearing things more, and I'm understanding things more. My dreams are more intense. It's I mean I go to bed and I come back. I feel like I've been gone for days, and I wake up and sometimes my two cats will be like, "Hey, welcome back," or "Oh, you're back," type of thing. So, and even my younger cat, her name is Luna. The other day after a breathwork meditation, she told me her name is actually Krista. That was her name during Lemurian times. So,
Oh,
which
okay.
we'll talk about Lemuria during the alien stuff too, because Lemuria has that has a lot to do with that too, and Atlantis too.
Okay. Kelly, anything else before we sign off? And then, I want to talk to you
Yeah,
afterwards. Okay.
I can't think of anything.
Okay, great. Okay, audience, I know you enjoyed this, and we're going to have some future podcasts with her. So you're going to learn a lot. Okay, thank you so much,
Thank
Kelly,
you.
and we'll talk later. Got to turn it off.